So I just watched this amazing video of these Native Americans on horses pushing policemen out of the way while they're protecting their water. And I need to go there. And I'm going to bring a video camera and try to make a story. Hopefully I can make something of it.
See the amount of flags, over 280 of them now, representing different tribal nations that have come, each one of them bringing something to the fight.
I'm from Fort Yates, North Dakota, and we're fighting these bulldozers and the trenches. And I came here because I have a lot of grandchildren now, and I want them to know that when there's a time to stand up for something that is right, that we do it.
I think if you're going to have the opportunity for all these tribes to come together, to unite for the first time and forever, this is history in the making.
I lost my grandson, so I took a week and a half off to get my head back straight. So I buried him, but then I just had to stay home for a while. But then something just been calling me to come back. And everybody's working together, which is very incredible.
My name is Travis Harden. I'm from Cheyenne River, and I'm half Ho-Chunk from the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. People fired up when they come as a nation. It's my calling to be here and to sing for the people and keep them fired up.
Hi. If you tuned in, that means you care. That's step number one. Step number two is believing. What to believe? I have an insight for the future that will be life-changing. It's one of education and winning for the environment. Cowboys versus Indians. David versus Goliath.
I was horrified by the acts of violence that I saw, and I was absolutely stunned by the repeated exposure of water, by the spraying of water on the crowd at sub-zero weathers. I saw elders who were sprayed with water and continued to stand there for hours. I saw young people who were sprayed with water and continued to stand there for hours. And then they started shooting them with rubber bullets, and I saw them start to fall. I was so angry. I wanted to go up to the policemen and look them in the eye and say, what if I was your sister? What if I was your daughter?
There are many reasons why the United States of America has never gotten the full respect that it wants at the United Nations. Most of those reasons are illegitimate, but some are sadly true. The United Nations passed a resolution on the rights of indigenous peoples. It said indigenous peoples have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct peoples and shall not be subjected to any act of genocide or any other act of violence. The United States of America was one of the 4 countries that shamed themselves by voting against the rights of indigenous peoples. And now we'll find out how much the United States of America respects the words on that piece of paper. But this time, thanks to Chairman Dave Archambault and the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and the uprising they have led, the whole world is watching.
This may well be the moment when nations come together, when peoples of goodwill come together to transform this world so that clean water is available for everybody, so that every man, woman, and child knows the peace and the goodness. So don't you get weary. Don't you get tired. Don't you give up. Stand together, walk together, pray together, love each other, and help this world. And Standing Rock, you stand up.
And that's why we are demanding new laws be established, new paradigms that recognize the rights of Mother Earth. The tribe here, Standing Rock Sioux tribe, and they're experts on these old sacred sites. They decided to release information of one of those sacred sites along that corridor of where the pipeline is going to be put into the ground. It has a lot of the teachings and the drawings on the rock outcroppings. And then they identified the relationship to some of the burial sites around that. And they released that to the media. And they told the federal agencies that we have to protect that.
They shared the information with Dakota Access, and this was a Friday. Saturday morning, Dakota Access, they sent out their bulldozers and earth movers, and they just bulldozed over those sites.
Pretty much when they came over and just kind of dug up some graves, just a top layer, they said they found shell casings and arrowheads. So that means that battle is like not even 100 years old. You're desecrating that grave. You're disturbing their slumber. Have some respect for the dead. I mean, the dead don't ask much, but to leave them there. Don't disturb our graves.
We've been doing this in a peaceful, prayerful manner, not really on the confrontational or anything like that. We've been meeting and praying every day, so we never expected anything like that. And when that happened, that's when another wave, human wave from here went up there.
Just raise your hands. You don't have to say anything else. Just raise your hands if you are in agreement with the Indians for stopping the pipeline going through their reservation because of fear of contamination of crude oil.
It's not going through the reservation.
Well, they want it to go through. They want it to go underneath. I understand the water basin.
They lied to you. Yeah.
Know the Truth is a series of videos to provide the public with accurate and factual information coming directly from my agency. These are short narratives that will tell you the real story of what's occurring in our communities.
Many of the people in here are peaceful and prayerful. We either meet those people and have good conversations, or they do their ceremony and they leave. We never have any confrontations with them. There's definitely a group in here that uses them as their disguise. A lot of people would wonder, why is it we need to defend this area so intently? Well, if you look behind us, that's 1806 goes right up the road, and that's where all the private property is that we pushed everybody off of on October 27th. Once we got them off private property, we stopped. That's our goal, is to enforce rule of law, not to have a confrontation with the protesters. One or a number of them have been flying an American flag upside down. And anybody that's been in the military knows that's a signal for distress. Whether it's a unit in distress, a person in distress, whatever the case may be, it means come help me, come get me, we're in serious trouble. Well, obviously, we're not welcome over there, and we're not able to go over there to come help them. They're flying it as a sign of disrespect. At least that's certainly the way we have been receiving it on our side. Almost like they were out for a Sunday afternoon festival and stand and take pictures with that flag, stand there and laugh and joke and with their fellow protesters while they disrespected the very symbol that gives them the right to do that.
February 26th is when the fight started, and all the activity in the Bakken is on the north side of the Missouri River. What's wrong with it being kept north of Missouri and then turn south? It'll stay on the eastern side of the river all the way down. That was the first thing we put out there. After that, when they wouldn't hear us or listen to us, we said no pipeline.
Amy Goodman, this guy maced me in the face.
This is a militarized police force up against an unarmed, peaceful people.
One maced over here, one maced over here, one maced over here. There's a fear that the cops that are coming in on those boats over there have actual bullets.
How are they going to get through this? We can take that down as fast as it went up. Okay. We just need the order. Why are you here? Why is it here?
Today's video is going to be insane. We have 7 people competing to win $2,000 in cash. We have a spin wheel right here with a bunch of challenges on it. Pee yourself in public, get flipped over in a porta potty, get pepper sprayed.
And indigenous peoples in America have been broken. In fact, I would actually argue that a lot of America has been broken for a long, long time, not just the American Indian people.
People are hurting individually while the planet is suffering globally. It's a dual crisis, and it seems to be unfolding ever more rapidly on both fronts.
Everybody's got a new car. Everybody's got new houses. Everybody's got new this and this and this. And why can't we live within our... We don't live within our means. Our nation doesn't.
You go to a school and you ask a whole bunch of kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're gonna say famous. Like it's a job.
I have been losing brain cells at an alarming rate, which explains this video. I have spent all my money, and there's no going back now. I have a problem.
It is mind-boggling that we have landed ourselves in this situation where our value doesn't come from our talents, it doesn't come from our skills, it doesn't come from the good things that we do for others, it comes from our social validation.
A 15-year-old girl wrote that she knew that she was clever and funny and she could do anything she wanted to do, but really it didn't matter if she became a doctor or a lawyer because she knew from the world around her and from the media that the only thing that really mattered was whether she was sexy, whether her breasts grew and her waist narrowed, and whether boys found her attractive.
My ass is flatter than a table. They're comfy though, I'll give it that.
When we have asked students why they don't have a social conscience, they describe themselves as self-focused and disconnected from life's realities. The most common metaphor they use to talk about themselves is that they live in a bubble.
Hey guys! Welcome back to our channel. I'm Mary. I'm Izzy. And today we're going to be playing Making Slime Blindfolded, but this time, no cheating. Because the last time, I think Izzy and Junior cheated. Every time we play this, someone cheats. Oh, what is this in my slime? I don't know if that's something in that one too. Is it you? No.
This bubble is what separates people and the planet. It's the result of our old method of education, and that old method is simply not going to work for another century. In our new way of thinking then, the first step of social conscience education is to pop the bubble.
What we need is a cultural and a social shift in our attitudes towards women and our attitudes towards violence against women. Because it's the people in the workplace that laugh along and call it banter and just sort of joke around when someone grabs her breast that make her feel unable to report.
Let's get rid of our deficit perspective in education. These people come from a culture of violence, a culture of poverty. These people are at risk. These people are truant. These people are empty containers for us to fill with knowledge. They have the problems, we have the solutions. We have to provide adequate resources to young people. Job training, mentoring, counseling, teaching young people to learn from their mistakes instead of criminalizing them and dragging them out of their classrooms like animals. So will you join me in changing the way we label young people from at risk to at promise?
And what that means is that by helping to contribute to a cultural shift in the way women are perceived, whether it's in the media, in the professional sphere, in the social or economic sphere, we help to shift the way that they're perceived and treated in the other spheres as well.
How long are you going to let other people decide the future for your children? Or are you not warriors? And they said it's time to stop talking and start doing. To not come from a place of fear, but to come from a place of hope.
But this is a fight that I feel has worth to it. One that can win and help set a precedent throughout the United States. Educate the young voices of this country.
Ready to go?
Yeah. And no.
America. Yeah, yeah, yes. And no.
All right, now I'm going to Morton County Sheriff's Department. It's here. Okay. 90-minute parking. All right, I'm going here and see if they'll talk to me. Get a side of the story. Two sides is always better than one.
You can record me?
No, I'm recording the guy sawing.
Take me out of there.
No,
you see that? That's me sitting in there. Take that out of there. Believe it. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I ask in a simple way. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry it happened that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry it happened that way.
I welcome everybody. I've been here over a month and I welcome everybody here. I say it's not just a native thing, it's everybody.
Columbus wrote in his log, "They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want." Columbus proceeded to unleash a reign of terror unlike anything seen before. When he was finished, 8 million Arawaks, virtually the entire native population of Hispaniola, had been exterminated by torture, murder, forced labor, starvation, disease, and despair. Columbus's atrocities with cross and sword were justified by the Christian doctrine of divine discovery, and set religious and legal precedent for the invasion and genocide of America's indigenous peoples for the next 500 years and beyond.
Ever since I've been here, the Morton County, the Sheriff's Department, they're getting more, violent, and it's just, it's not called for. This is a non-violent protest.
When there was an action just north of here on the bridge, and people tried to open up the bridge. The bridge has been blocked since October 27th, I think, and the police had said 3 weeks ago they would open the bridge up again so that traffic could go through, ambulances could go through, and so forth. Not just for this camp, but for the whole reservation. Some of the camp decided to take it upon themselves to open that bridge back up, and the police just started opening up with tear gas and shooting with bean bags and compact grenades and water cannons, and it was a freezing night, and then hundreds of people came from the camp to support.
In the face of tragedy, our people have always had humor, and I think that's what kept us alive. We're always constantly joking with each other, despite horrible things like Wounded Knee or any of the massacres that happened to our people or the Cheyenne people or any of the other tribes.
What brought you here?
My kids. I'm pretty much terminal, so I'm just doing what I can do to help them. This oil stuff's got to stop.
I think the fact that people are working together is what's making this work here at this one location. I mean, if you look around and take a look at the operation in this campsite, everybody's working together. I think this is a great time. I think if you're going to have the opportunity for all these tribes to come together, to unite for the first time in forever, this is history in the making.
Adrian Stephen King, Ojibwe Nation, Lac the Flambeau, Wisconsin.
My name is Justin Drew Rowland. I'm from Wounded Knee, South Dakota, Pine Ridge Reservation, POW Camp 344, Oglala, Lakota.
Chad Garro from Makwazashini, New York. We're here with Red Rum Motorcycle Club.
Timothy Washington. I'm from Siletz Tribe by the coast of Oregon.
These pipelines are everywhere. This is very important, this pipeline, but it's happening all over the country, all over the world.
When Standing Rock called, I found that every single person I met was coming from a front line. So we all understand what it means to stand up for our rights and for the protection of the Mother Earth. The people heard in a new way because we're all craving prayer now. We're all craving to connect to our center.
We're here with love and compassion. That's what it is love and compassion for that sacredness of our mother, our grandmother Earth, and understanding the natural laws of life itself, relationship with the sky, relationship with the star nation, and all of life. That's what this is about.
The world has grown really small with the fact that there's a finite source of water. You know, people think that the water is endless, but it's not. You know, and I think that's going to force our people to come together, force our people to understand the importance of the environment. And I've always said that we can never really have a genuine relationship with Western society or the non-native people until they have a relationship with the earth.
Well, many people say that our nation was based on religious freedom. And it is important to acknowledge that that has not been true for Native peoples. There is a way of praying, there are ancestral belief systems and practices that have been actively stamped out by force from people with the United States government behind them. It's important to acknowledge that and to see those ways as the actual antidote to the force that stamped them out. We are human beings, and many of us are feeling the inadequacy of the value system and that we have grown up and we're a part of. And it is beautiful to see people with the generosity that many Native people have to show what caretaking for the land is.
Well, prayer can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be on your knees right before you go to bed praying to Jesus. Prayer is a lot of things. It's contemplation, it's meditation, it's hope, maybe. It's different for everybody, right? The most important thing for Indigenous people is the relationships that you have. You know, your relationship to food, there's a prayer involved with it. The relationship with your family, there's a prayer involved with it. The relationship to your community, to your nation. You know, what could be more spiritual than the food you eat, the water you drink? A relationship with water, you know, it's a cleanser. Our relationship with sage. Every component of the ecosystem we had a relationship with.
Before we pray, in the mornings when we get up, we smudge ourselves with sage and cedar. Is to, you know, cleanse our souls. You know, it's not for our bodies, it's for our spirit. That's when you light it and, you know, you inhale the smoke. That's smudging.
Who is Monsanto? But the better question is, why Monsanto? Because the farmers who grow our food are up against some significant challenges.
One thing that had got me into studying the plants of the mountain, of the forest, was that I've been growing gardens all my life, and big gardens. You should just call them farms. And then I noticed that each year, April showers don't bring May flowers no more. But I noticed outside of the fence, everything was still growing. All of the wild foods had more strength and more vitality to keep growing. That's what got me into start studying the plants of the forest. And once I started doing that, everything was medicine. And once I started harvesting the medicine, people saw and they came and asked, do you have anything for my AIDS? Do you have anything for my cancer? I have a cold, I have pneumonia. And I'm finding these plants, and these plants are working and curing. And they want to, so I have learned a whole nother relationship with nature. And it ties back to my ancestry nature, as my great-grandmother was a medicine woman of the Narragansett tribe.
I'm Southern Cheyenne. Our sacred objects are 7 arrows, 7 sacred arrows that were given to us from our prophet, Sweet Medicine. When the last arrow is gone, that's the end of humanity, because Indigenous people are the caretakers of land. There's a direct correlation with biodiversity and diversity of cultures. You know, you have this degradation of ecology. We're part of the ecology. The supernatural is part of the ecology. When you destroy the ecology, you're destroying yourself. If there comes a time where there's no more caretakers of the land, no one watching over these sacred objects, the last arrow is gone, then that's the end.
Fracking's been going on for 50, 60 years. It's nothing new. I mean, like, again, we fracked
with nitroglycerin. Same thing. Halliburton and Schlumberger were fracking at the same time. We just had, it was more economical to frack with nitroglycerin at that time. The first fracking's been around since the 40s. It's nothing new. What's new is the horizontal drilling. To frack a horizontal well is quite the technology that's really changed the industry. A real success of business is hiring good people and keeping them there for a long period of time. So, I mean, and that's what we've done. We have people that work for us for, my age, that work for nobody but Kinley, for 30, 40, 50, well, going on 50 years.
An alternative route for the pipeline was mooted to the north of Bismarck, but federal authorities ruled that out because they thought that it could endanger part of the water supply of that town. Tribal leaders are saying, well, if not there, why here?
Bismarck's mayor says he sympathises with them, but thinks pipelines with new technology are safe enough.
I would have given the thumbs up based on what I know about pipeline technology, what I know about civil engineering. I would not have had a problem saying, I don't have a problem with the route if it's north of Bismarck, but we were never asked.
We publish somewhere around 25 EPA reports and journal publications, all peer-reviewed, informing decisions by states and others interested in protecting groundwater resources, surface water resources from the potential effects of hydraulic fracturing and other oil and gas operations. The good part of hydraulic fracturing is that it has stimulated the production of oil and gas.
Fracking has opened up huge new supplies of natural gas in the U.S. The most apparent benefits are economic. The high supplies of natural gas have caused the price to fall from $9 to as low as $3.
There's no question that to limit global warming, we have to decarbonize the global energy system as quickly as possible. Replacing coal-burning power plants with natural gas is doing this today at a very significant scale in the U.S. and could be doing it in many other countries around the world.
But there are concerns. We specifically in our study looked at concerns having to do with drinking water resources. And yes, we did find out that hydraulic fracturing can and does affect drinking water resources in the United States.
We're getting de facto the result of an energy policy, which is more production and less imports. We used to import 60% of our daily needs of oil. Now we're down to about 48%. So that's a great progress for the United States and very important for our economy because we're not sending those dollars overseas anymore. It's all right here, creating jobs here and revenue, tax revenue, income here. And I happen to think we've had an energy policy, and that is to keep energy prices low.
As we've been doing this work as IEN since 1990, we have really reevaluated through critical analysis of what's going on. So the root of all these environmental injustice issues that we've been dealing with has its foundation in a concept of privatization of nature. That's this whole development called hydrofracking, hydraulic fracturing of Mother Earth. They have to pressurize through injection of water and chemicals and sand to separate that rock and the shale underneath Mother Earth and bring that fossil fuel, that oil or gas out of there and they're saying, trust us, we got the technology, don't worry. But throughout this country, there's contamination to drinking water. There's some areas they say you can smell now that fossil fuel, that hydrocarbon. With one of my sisters in Indian Way, down in Oklahoma with the Ponkas, their hydrofracking is just like rampant, that development. And now they have earthquakes. They have never had that much earthquakes. So Mother Earth is trying to speak out to humanity. Wake up.
The pipeline safety record in this country for crude oil pipelines is incredibly strong.
Potential benefits need to be balanced against acceptable risk. For that, you need facts, like what's really in the 5 million gallons of fluid, including the 75,000 gallons of chemicals used to frack a single well. Under the Bush administration's Energy Policy Act of 2005, companies didn't have to tell you. However, in September 2010, 8 companies responded to an EPA request for information. It took a subpoena to get Halliburton, the company that pioneered fracking, to respond. Fracking chemicals are linked to bone, liver, and breast cancers, gastrointestinal, circulatory, respiratory, developmental, as well as brain and nervous system disorders. And they are in frack waste and may find their way into drinking water and air. And it gets worse. Today, waste from Pennsylvania gas wells, waste that may also contain unacceptable levels of radium, is routinely dumped across state lines into landfills in New York, Ohio, and West Virginia.
These corporations, big corporations, looks like they don't care about the human life. All they're after is the money, which to me, it's not right.
October 25th, actually, this year, we're finally going to be able, as a state, to take Freedom Industries to court. And they were a facility that had above-ground storage tanks for coal cleaning chemicals, specifically 4-methocyclohexane methanol and propylene glycol ethyl. They spilled thousands and thousands of gallons of this into the Elk River. I drove by this facility for 18 years of my life every day, and it was literally right on the riverbank of the Elk River. And the above-ground storage tanks had no secondary containment facility, which means there was no wall to block the leak after the above-ground storage tanks started leaking all of these chemicals into the river. This was talked about at the town hall meetings when we had biochemists and Aaron Brockovic came, but this was not talked about within even local media, let alone national news, how bad it actually was. When people started taking showers after the chemical spill, people broke out in rashes, they got chemical pneumonia from inhaling all kinds of toxins. Some people even reported hallucinating. And when the doctors didn't know what was going on at the time, because there were so many calls to poison control, people had to go to the doctor and they were wearing like full bodysuits and stuff visiting relatives. It was very, very scary. One of the worst parts of it being that there are no extensive studies on what this chemical can do to people when they're exposed to it on a long-term basis, whether it's internal or external exposure. They did animal testing, but they didn't do any testing on people. So now we're the guinea pigs.
There's uranium mining going on near us in Nebraska and I think Edgemont, and there's proposed in Devil's Tower. That also would affect our water system. I just read an article not too long ago where the Angostura Dam actually has uranium levels in it already. And people go there for recreation, so I imagine it's probably not safe to swim there anymore. And we are trying to avoid things like this for our own people as well as others around us.
We want to be able to do like we did as kids, go down to the creek, swim in the creek, drink water from the creek, raise some food, and raise our children amongst that. And this is what the camp stands for, and I see it that way.
I wonder how my grandparents felt when they were standing there and they were flooding them out when they made these dams, and some of them had to leave their homes and they had to move away from the bottomland where the river is. I said I could just imagine how sad they felt, the loss they felt when they moved up on top, your home, your gardens all covered, and I said I know what they went through now, to lose part of what we grow up with.
In the mid-20th century, the Army Corps of Engineers created dams. Up and down the Missouri River, villages were flooded, including an area where many Standing Rock Sioux had made their homes.
Here in this state, there is being built the largest dam of its kind in the world. It is a source of pleasure to me as president, therefore, to come here on this occasion.
It doesn't matter what pipeline it runs through or what kind of material is used in a pipeline. Oil is corrosive the minute it comes out the ground. At some point or another, it's gonna corrode the pipe down to where there's gonna be a leak. Whether that leak is gonna be under the river or over the river, it's still gonna contaminate people drinking the river.
Another day, another oil spill. This time, 250,000 gallons of gasoline were leaked from a pipeline operated by Colonial Pipeline Company running from Houston to New York. The pipeline which delivers more than 100 million gallons of refined oil products a day.
I just hope the right thing happens out here because people are getting tired of being told they can trust these people who are nothing like them, these elites, these politicians, these CEOs, to take care of them and do the best thing for everyone. and it's just been proved false over and over and over again all throughout history.
In 1776, the United States birthed the first 13 states on land taken through the ethnic cleansing of dozens of eastern seaboard tribes. The Declaration of Independence further enshrined the belief of Euro-American settler supremacy by declaring Native peoples to be merciless Indian savages. In 1787, the United States adopted its Constitution. Article 6 established treaties as the supreme law of the land. Despite this supreme law, treaties with sovereign native nations became slippery promises easily broken when convenient. In 1823, in the case of Johnson and Graham Lessee v. McIntosh, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the First Nation people's right of occupancy was subordinate to the United States' divine right of discovery.
Our ancestors told us to go and learn the English language. You know why? Because they didn't know what the hell they were saying in the treaties. That's why. 7 generations down the road, here we are. We're here. And we're utilizing these treaties. We're understanding. Don't say we give you anything.
Having wronged them for centuries, we had better, in order to protect our civilization, follow it up by one more wrong and wipe these untamed and untamable creatures from the face of the earth. By 1890, our Lakota people, once powerful and free, were entirely dependent on the U.S. government. The U.S. had forcibly removed our people from our homeland, confined them to reservations, cut their rations by half, stolen our children, and decimated the great herds of our buffalo relatives.
The reason why I came is because the history of the oppression of the Native people by the American government, and you know how the government has been like in a spiral downfall ever since that. It's, you know, if you correct these wrongs that are made at the base of the country, you know, that's the only way to get the country to go back up and like learn from its mistakes.
The Treaty of Fort Laramie, signed in 1868, set aside the Black Hills and all of western South Dakota for the exclusive use of the Sioux. White men were forbidden to enter. After the discovery of gold, the U.S. government pressured the Sioux to change the treaty and sell the Black Hills. But Crazy Horse refused to even consider negotiations. He declared, "One does not sell the land on which the people walk."
The Indian movement has always been about treaty rights.
When you look at the 1851 treaty, the treaty was an agreement between the Great Sioux Nations and the U.S. To mark the boundaries of their territory. The tribe didn't give up anything in that treaty. They weren't strong-armed. They just said, okay, here's our land boundaries, you know, here's our territory. When the 1868 treaty is superimposed over the 1851 treaty, it's after the Civil War, kind of based on that shift in military superiority. There's proof that the U.S. never intended it to ever come in good faith. It's always been a continual design of encroachment. Well, okay, the Great Sioux Nations are more military powerful. Let's just see if we can get them to agree to anything. So the early treaties were based on equality. It's not until after the Civil War that we began to see these, you know, you're going to do this or we're going to kill everybody, right? They would take it all if they could, but they take it in slices, you know, and they still are taking it. That's what's going on today. Even though these are legal binding instruments in the international legal arena, as well as in the federal. I mean, the U.S. Constitution says treaties will be the supreme law of the land. The 7th Cavalry came to guard the Wounded Knee camp, the 1890 Wounded Knee camp. Now, 7th Cavalry was Custer's cavalry. 14 years previously, Custer's cavalry was defeated at Little Bighorn. And, you know, why else would the U.S. have Custer's cavalry guard the encampment, right? Well, over 300 women and children are gunned down with a Gatling gun. In 1973 is the American Indian movement's claiming of Wounded Knee as a separate sovereign nation. Soon after the claiming of that nation by the American Indian movement, several FBI agents surround the camp, over 400 of them, armed FBI agents. the irony of the last massacre for the Lakota people, and really the first stand since that massacre happens on the Wounded Knee.
After 71 days, the Indians surrendered when the government promised to consider their grievances. But negotiations never resulted in any progress on the issues. Instead, conditions only worsened.
Way back in 18-something, they came and signed treaties with all the tribes down there and took them back to Washington and never ratified them. Because they figured they didn't, by that time all the Indian wars were over and they didn't have to do that no more. So they realized that that was too permanent. So down the river they gave them extension, and up the river they gave us deeds to the property. Within a year they were gone because we didn't know anything about taxes and all that stuff. People just came and took them up. So now we're homeless almost again.
The reservations are called POW camps, prisoner of war. A lot of people have used the same tactic. They're the same tactic Hitler used when he did his Holocaust on the Jewish people. It's the same tactics that's being done to Palestinians, to wipe them out on the land, clear them out from the land, and push them into these little spaces, which is for Palestinian cities and towns. Corner them and fence them in their towns and kill them off, starve them. Same thing that happened to us is happening to them.
Why can't our treaties be honored? You know, why can't this country stand up to what it's supposed to be about, what it believes in, you know, instead of just taking.
From the way we look at that, who are the ones that are practicing violence? Violence against our people, violence against Mother Earth.
There is such a thing as generational trauma and generational anger, generational joy, generational healing, generational pain. Just as you pass on positive, wonderful attributes, you can also pass on negative, harmful attributes.
It was told in prophecy that this black snake would come. Our seventh generation will rise. And why I'm here, because we are the seventh generation. And we are here to stop to this black snake that's trying to threaten our water, our land, our air, our people.
So this is the first line of defense.
This is the first spot right here.
Stop that.
This is the tip of the iceberg right here. This is just the beginning.
Protecting what you love instead of just protesting what you hate.
A lot of us, decided that, during the winter we might have to move camp back across the river. What we heard is DAPL paid the National Guard $6 million to come and remove us. A lot of us were talking, and my grandma, my grandpa, and my mom and all them, and my girlfriend, all the older ones of our family got together and had a good long talk about what we were gonna do. Do we get up and move camp and let them go through with it? And we all decided to we're gonna stay right here, stick it through, and even if it does cost lives, and this is our land and we're gonna fight for it. And it's whatever it takes, and we're not gonna give up very easy, not at all.
There's young people coming together, and they're not just looking at how to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. They are working to support each other, to grow their leadership so that they can bring that back to their communities as well.
These young people are all individuals, and they are looking for who they are, where they come from. I always told growing up, we all come from somewhere, we all have our stories. And some of them, come from reservation, from cities, rural areas, we come from all over. But sometimes it's searching for that identity. They may know who they are, but coming here, talking to our young people, it's brought them together, unity, listening to the elders, older people, beginning to understand treaties, what's going on, why, and where their part can be a very important part because they are our future generations. How do they come into play into all this and care for the land that we call our mother?
We need to pick up that torch. We need to go to our elders, ask them, bring them tobacco, bring them some food, bring them something, that's a fair trade, and ask them, teach me, grandfather, hand me that torch that you're carrying. Your arm's getting tired, let me carry it, I'm young. We're young, we're the next generation, we're the seventh generation. It's our time to pick those up. We need to do what Bob Marley said, let's get up and stand up. Fight for our right.
We're telling humanity of the world that It's your time to step up, to reattach yourself to the importance of that natural laws of Mother Earth, because we have something in common. We're concerned about the future generation and the rights of our future generation. We want to be able to stand in solidarity with indigenous and non-indigenous people. Someday in the future, our great-grandchildren will say, my mom and dad stood up.
You know, the only option we have is that we have to win.
Today, the Department of Army, Joe Allen Darcy, contacted me and said the Corps of Engineers is going to deny the easement. I know it's a good feeling, and we still have to remain in prayer. We still have to remain peaceful. That's what helped us win. Well, I just wanted to make the announcement and let everybody know that it is true, and we can spend this winter with our families. Thank you all.
I feel like they're holding this spot, so then Dapple or whatever would come in here and make sure that no one can come back here. Holding it down, holding the fort down until spring. I feel like that's where it is right now, the fight.
This is a wind tunnel, so we got to remember those things. You know, are we ready for that? You know, we need to look at going in and out. How many times are we going to go in and out of a tent and lose our warm air every time we open that flap?
I've been working a graveyard shift at the security. You know, there's a lot of people that have come out here and they all mean well. Everyone means well, but they're not prepared for this cold. I wasn't even prepared, and I'm from the Northeast. I've been a snowmaker in Colorado at night. Like, I've seen some pretty cold stuff, but this takes the cake.
Yeah, just woke up. This is my tent. I'm cold. I gotta get dressed.
Who knows what's going on here? Looks like a plague hit or something, or a snowstorm.
Building hogans and floors in the kitchen, mainly carpentry work, but in blizzard conditions.
But I'm from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I'm Oglala Lakota, representing our tribe and myself as a mother and a grandmother and a woman to come here and support the pipeline.
The biggest challenge at camp right now is we have to figure out how to keep our water from freezing. We've got this water truck that's going to be bringing water in from Cannonball, but we can't have the water freezing, and we have to have enough water. Like the herbal tent ran out of water. You know, the doctors ran out of water, and you can melt snow, but only so quickly. So I think the priority back at camp right now is the water, keeping that.
I have had a strong calling, and I lived for 5 years on a wolf sanctuary, 10,000 feet in Colorado, so I had a good foundation of confidence that I could come here and do a lot of firewood work. I can't really call it difficult. I'm prepared, and this community is so abundant, so generous, so helpful. It's like that's real. The key to survival is community, and that's one of the things we're doing as far as healing the wounds of society, you know.
Me with Johnny, water is life.
The word for water is Miniwichoni, the water of life. Without water, there's no life. Same way with air, there's no air. You have no life. The ground
You know, all these things come from creation, our creation story.
Over rocks, through canyons, on its way down to the ocean.
Waking up the world about their own relationship to Mother Earth. If we have a world that doesn't understand that, if we have an America that only looks at Mother Earth as an object, that treats Mother Earth the same way it treats its woman, that objectifies Mother Earth, it's part of a concept of dominion. And that's why we challenge a lot of those also religious concepts of male dominance, dominion over their woman, dominion over Mother Earth, dominion over the water. And that's tied again to an economic system that has its foundation of control and conquest. And it's this mentality, predatory mentality, that makes people fearful. And it's not just indigenous people, it's all people. Creating some sort of a educational process that reminds people of our responsibilities to protect that sacredness of Mother Earth. And that's why we are demanding new laws be established, new paradigms that recognize the rights of Mother Earth, that recognizes Earth jurisprudence, that recognizes the importance of the territorial integrity of the water, the territorial integrity of the plants and the medicines and the air that we breathe. Who's going to speak for the nature and the elements of Mother Earth that cannot speak for themselves? It has always been indigenous peoples. So we're telling humanity of the world that it's your time to step up.
Oh, I love the energy, the spiritualness. It definitely helped me become a better person, gave me more patience to see and be around people that care for each other and that help each other out.
When you have a good figure in your life that is there to guide you, you have that potential to make it far.
And maybe that's what it takes. I think it takes, building that relationship. It's all on talking to people and getting to know them. Because once you do, it's now personal. You now have a stake in their lives. And unless you get to know them, then they are just, someone who's going to pass through. And it's those little 2 minutes of a conversation that would make all the difference.
Just last week, by order of North Dakota's governor, protesters left their camps near the pipeline site. Before going, some burned their tents and other structures.
The so-called environmentalists leaving behind heaps of trash after protesting for a long time that Dakota Access Pipeline. A massive cleanup effort now underway so the trash doesn't pollute the same river that the protesters say they were trying to save from the pipeline.
Taken moments ago of President Trump signing new executive orders. Let's take a listen.
Okay, we will build our own pipeline.
Police arrested dozens of protesters that defied the order and forcibly removed them.
And people are working really hard right now to get and salvage as much of these wonderful donations as they can out of camp, because this isn't trash, it's donations that were given to help support the cause.
Pipelines are the safest, environmentally cleanest, and least expensive way to transport the fuel that our communities need.
To no one's surprise, the Dakota Access Pipeline leaked multiple times, and Eileen Brown of The Intercept actually has a summary of just how frequently this pipeline has leaked since it's been fully operational. So she explains the Dakota Access Pipeline leaked at least 5 times in 2017. The biggest was a 168-gallon leak near Dapple's endpoint in Pacoda, Illinois. And anytime there's a leak, they come out and assure us, this wasn't that bad, it was contained, no wildlife was killed, some soil was contaminated, but overall, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, but do you understand why we have a problem, though? It's continuously leaking. If this is a new pipeline, one would think, logically, that it would last longer, and we wouldn't see leaks this frequently, especially since it just became operational. Maybe down the road, 10 years, 20 years later, these leaks become more frequent, but this is a brand new pipeline just installed last year. It's only a matter of time before this pipeline leaks, or one of these 2 pipelines in the Bakken system leaks, and contaminates drinking water. Then what are you going to do?
A ruptured pipeline has spilled more than 176,000 gallons of crude oil into a hillside and a Little Missouri River tributary about 150 miles west of Cannonball, North Dakota.
So I encourage all you young ones, let's get involved, start looking towards see within legislate and start being that decision maker that needs to happen.